Hello,
Hi,
we are
everyone.
live.
Yes,
Go
we
ahead,
are.
Beverly, take it away.
Eh, We are so happy to join you here today. As usual, we had some technical problems. That's why we are a bit late. I woke up early this morning. I said, okay, no, I'm not getting on late today. But here we are. But here we are. We are with you. And we hope that you are with us because, as you know, we love it when you join our conversation. It's just so great to have you aboard. This evening, well, for those new persons who may be looking at this video, whether now or in time to come, I am Beverly Briggs, your host, and
And I'm Kristin
we
Brooke,
have,
the co-host.
yes, the lovely Kristin Brooke. This evening, or at this point in time, we would be discussing abuse. We are supposed to have a special guest with us this evening, and we are hoping that he will get in because he himself is having some technical problems also. So we are praying to God that he will get in. But this evening, we would be discussing abuse. Now, for many years, it was taught by counselors, psychologists, and others that the problem mankind face is one of lack of self esteem. We were taught that to obtain this, we had to be schooled or obtain great jobs, which provide us with a good status quo. These were the necessary things that boosted our self esteem and give us the ability to walk with our heads held high. Today, there's a marked difference in the rate of abuse when the economy falls. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, abuse has been rocketing, casting a shadow on the philosophy that man's problem is one of lack of self esteem. Today, we want to present to you that the problem mankind possesses is one of lack of self awareness, giving room for the rise of abuse. Now, abuse is to use to bad effect or a bad purpose or misuse. That's what abuse is. Abuse is when you're using to a bad effect or for a bad purpose or you're misusing. And many of us will have heard these quotes before. The mind is a terrible thing to waste, or as a man thinketh, so is he. Or be not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds. Giving way to the theory that abuse is the underlying source of our problems today, and it can be therefore determined first that abuse is first self-inflicted before it is unleashed on persons we come in contact with. So the guest that we are supposed to have on the show today is Dr. Clark, and Dr. Clark is has been and still is a, a cognitive behavioral therapy. And we know that they deal with your thought, how you think, and helping you to change your thought pattern. Because as we said before, as a man thinketh, so is he. Now, Christine, I have been sitting down thinking about this topic on abuse, and it is such a wide topic. And there are so many things that fall under it that persons, I don't think a lot of persons are aware that they are actually abusing others or even themselves. And one problem I had this week for, oh Lord, for some days now. And I've been having it before, but especially for the last couple of days, is guys calling my phone all hours in the night, all hours in the
Mm-hmm.
day. You know that you are a public figure, you have to put your phone number out there, you have to put your information out there, and they get it. And from the time you go on Facebook, you are bombarded by this barrage of men just believing that they could send explicit text or explicit videos of themselves. I woke up out of my sleep this week because my phone was ringing, and I have learned not to answer my phone because I'm not sure who's calling, and I would answer depending on the number. But somehow it just woke me out of my sleep, and I just answered it. And there was this young guy, naked as he's born, um, masturbating and calling my phone on video. And I'm saying, this is abuse.
It
This
is. And
is,
listen, Beverly, I think that part of it is men and maybe women as well. Um, when they know that someone has been abused, they know that that person's comfort zone has been at some point abuse. And so they think that they can get away with it and that you won't say anything. But this is what I did. I stopped using Facebook Messenger and I just started using it again. But this is what I've done. When a man calls me, it happened one time. Okay. Miss Pratiba Day, we know her and Chai together. She told me, listen, your boundaries are not strong enough right now. You need to renew your boundaries. You need to strengthen your boundaries. So that's what I did. I answered the phone. A young man, believe in Saudi Arabia, called me and he asked me where I live, and I told him. And then he said, well, look at this, right? It pans down to a region that I should not see.
hmm,
And then he goes back up to his face and smiles, right?
hmm,
Disrespectful, just utterly disrespectful.
hmm.
However, what I told him was, would you want someone that to do that to your mother? Would you want someone that to do that to your grandmother, your aunt, your daughter, your sister? If you would not want them to do someone to do that to them, you do not have the right to do that to me. Don't call me. I am here. We are here to help people that have gone through something to overcome that abuse, not to be abused. And
Yes,
so
and
I'm glad that you say that because it had bothered me for so long. But what has helped was Pratiba Day telling me you need to still be able to maneuver in the world. You need to set boundaries. And once
right,
your boundaries are clear in your mind, once you have that mindset that you will not tolerate these calls, you block those calls.
right.
Those calls
Yes,
get blocked. You will not
yes.
continue to contact me. You will not stop me from being able to utilize my phone and
Thank you.
communicate with friends,
Thank
family, and
you.
clients.
Thank
That is
you.
not okay, right? That
I'm,
is abuse.
I'm totally
And it
agreeing
is
with you.
not okay. Abuse is never okay. But that's where I realized that she did have an inkling of truth ring in that it was also my mindset. You know, for so long I
Mhm.
was telling myself, I don't want to answer this messenger on my phone. I am not going to have it on my phone. And I no longer have it on my phone, but I will check it
Mm.
online. But when those calls come through, guess what? Those people are blocked. Those people are unfriended.
Yes.
I don't deal with
Yes.
that anymore.
And you know,
You have to
I
make a
have made it,
decision. Yeah.
sorry, you know, I have made it, and that's what I've told myself. Is, you know what? You all are not running me from. Too many times we allow evil to overcome good. And good should be overcoming evil. You are not running me from this space. I know that I belong here. My voice is needed here. And
Yes.
exactly what you said is exactly what I do. I block.
And
From the
listen,
time I have learned, from the time they start certain things they start coming up with, are you married? And here's what
yeah,
I have said to myself, I am not blocking them from Facebook,
right.
unless somebody comes up and harassed my page or stuff like that. I am not blocking you from Facebook because even now I'm giving you a message that listen,
Oh, I block them.
you
I
are
don't
a
have time
gem.
for abuse. If because the one thing that I don't want is, and I have had the message where I don't allow abuse, I don't tolerate it. I've put out videos, but I block those people because they
Mhm,
have negativity in their heart. And if they want to follow me, they can follow my public figure page.
mhm.
But I will
And
not
that's
allow
what
them
I
to be listed as a friend and then to
uh,
go and try to be mutual friends with my friends. Not happening. Blocked. If you want to connect with my network, you will not abuse me and my network. Not happening. And that is just a boundary that I have set now. Um, I just can't do it anymore. And
and
I
I
refuse.
I have had to block so much of course, even my WhatsApp now, my WhatsApp space, this personal space. And I'm saying there must be some sort of uh, these guys don't know their worth. They
No.
don't know their worth. I'm looking at some of these guys, Kristin, handsome guys, handsome.
Mhm.
And I'm saying to myself, they don't know their worth. As a
Right.
woman, we are supposed to be the reflection of you. When you feel comfortable to misuse us as that, because some may say, no, it's not, it is abuse. You are misusing your ability to get into someone's space. I mean, I have declined calls trying to get the time to go and block this call, and it could barely get the time to block the call because as you decline, they just calling
Keep
right
calling.
back.
Keep
If
calling. Yes.
someone says, I do not want you in my space, I am not comfortable with you in my space, this is not the way I operate, then by all means, you are supposed to be able to respect that person. And respect starts with you. So the
Right.
way you operate with me, the way you respect me, tells me a lot about how you feel about yourself, about how
Absolutely.
you respect yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's their mindset. And so their mindset, if they're not respectful of themselves, then they are not respectful of others. And if they're not respectful of others, they're not respecting themselves. Um,
Yes.
but then another thing that I wanted to bring up, because I know I have limited time and we have Dr. Edward Clark here with us. Today, I was
Come.
listening to Les Brown, and he said, the bad people in the world, the negativity never takes a day off. So why should the
Mm-hmm.
good people, why should I take a day off?
Right.
I will not.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to know and be cognizant that as we go about this and we are light workers and we are trying to shine the light and the good in the world, that darkness will surround us. But we have to have the mentality that we are going to continue to shine. We will
Right.
not let our light dim because there is darkness around us.
Light do not run away or switch off because there's darkness. It actually
Yeah.
shines brighter depending on how dark it is. The darker the night, the darker the time, the brighter the light shines.
Right. And we cannot take a day off because
No,
the darkness never takes a day off. So with
no,
that, I
no.
am going to add Dr. Edward Clark to the call.
Yes.
Oh, good evening, Dr. Clark. How are you?
I am very well.
Uh,
Welcome.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
love
Hi, hi.
it's
Hi.
it is so wonderful to have you here.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
I
I,
I
I just want to pick up on
what's
something.
up?
I said I just want to pick up on
Mm-hmm.
something that Christine, is it Christine, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Stated. And I wanted to talk a bit about boundaries and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that, we are so wedded to social media and our cell phones that somehow we don't
Uh-oh, you're muted. Let's see. Dr. Clark, you
Dr. Clark,
somehow
you
you
muted.
muted your if you can hit the microphone there.
Okay, yeah, sorry, that's right. Okay, can you hear
There
me
you
now?
go.
Right,
Yes,
sorry.
you were saying we're so
Yes,
wedded
we
to
hear
our
you.
cell phones now
Yeah,
that
right. I was saying that I just want to go back to a point that you mentioned, which is very important about boundaries. And I said most of us are so wedded to our electronic gadgets that we just don't know when and how to disengage. Now,
Mm.
when I am going to bed, I turn off my cell phone because my day has been hectic
Mhm.
and the students have been calling me with all their problems and
Mhm.
undergraduate, masters, administration sending messages, new work for tomorrow, you just name
Mhm.
it, students who haven't had their emails replied, etc. It's nonsense.
right.
When I'm ready to go to bed, I turn off my phone. I have the mindset that says, whatever happens, I can deal with it better in the morning than I can
Mhm.
now. Um, so I know that might sound to some persons to be cold, but the first thing we must do is to protect ourselves. We need to look after ourselves. Very often, therapists, individuals in the helping profession, they give, and they don't know how to care for themselves. You have to care for yourself. Number one, care for yourself, because if you don't care for yourself, it means that you cannot dispense the best of you to someone else.
True.
So when I get up in the morning, I want to be fresh. I can then, after I do my devotion, then I'm going to switch on the phone. And now I can deal with almost anything you throw at me. But between bedtime and sunrise, when I get up, I want to make sure that I get an adequate number of hours sleep, because sleep is so very, very, very important. And most of us, and I'm pretty bad at it, I must admit, compromise or sleep. And we go to bed. I mean, sometimes I go to bed 11, 12, and I'm getting up at 4. That's crazy. That is absolutely
Mhm.
crazy. So I need to look after me, and I need to manage myself. I need to have boundaries where I say, if I feel you're going to be offended, I said, okay, I'm going to take calls up to 9 o'clock. After that, I'm switching off my response to you. And then when I go to bed, I turn off the phone. I turn off
Mhm.
the phone. People say, well, oh yeah, suppose there's an emergency. Okay, yeah, suppose there's an emergency. Yeah, suppose there's an emergency. But
Doc, I stopped hearing you. Did you mute the mic again?
Yeah, I think it seems to go off on so
Okay, I'm
funny.
hearing you
So
now.
yeah, I'm saying that someone says, suppose it's emergency. I said, well, suppose it's
Mm-hmm.
emergency. And because we function like that, where everything is the possibility of an emergency, you would have students coming into class when we had face to face, and I'm sure they do it even more now that we have Zoom and online, and they have their phones on. They have their phones on, and of course, if you have your phone on, even if you have it on vibrate, it's going to disturb you. You have to go out of the class. Sometimes you're in on Zoom and someone has to go and take a call, and that disrupts the flow of information to that student or to that person for the last 15, 20 minutes when that they're not there. So I think we need to manage ourselves a bit better before
Mm-hmm.
electronic gadgets. And if you know that you are likely to have these unfortunate negative persons calling you all hours of the night, first thing is switch off the phone, go to bed, get your 7 or 8 hours sleep, whatever it is that you need to get, and then when you get up in the morning, you deal with it. But I would suggest that you regulate your cell phone usage, and sometimes you really have to monitor your exposure to social media. You really, really must. I mean, I'm a bit extreme, I must confess, because I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on Twitter, I'm not on any social media. But that's just me. Okay, that's just me. But if you are exposed to that extent where you're on all the social media and then you're on this service, then you need to have some boundaries that say, when it comes to bedtime, it's my space, I'm trying to sleep. I don't need unnecessary calls. So that was in response to Christine's thing about boundaries and so on. So I think it's
Thank
really important
you.
that we self-manage. That's the first thing. In the helping profession, the most critical thing is for therapists to look after themselves. Number uno. Because one of the things when you're in this profession is that you lose so much energy is taken out of you in counseling. So much energy, people. Just it's an amazing thing that you can have 2 sessions and afterwards you're tired. I mean, you haven't really gone for a walk, you haven't climbed the mountain, you haven't done anything, but because you've absorbing all that negativity and it infects you, and you need to manage yourself, have breaks, and sleep is very, very, very critical to our well-being. So, ladies, listeners, persons in the helping profession, I would suggest that there comes a time when you're going to bed to just turn off your phone. I have 2 phones. No, look at that. I have 2 phones. So I leave one out in the sitting room where I can't get to it, and the other one I leave by my bedside off. And when I put my head on the pillow, I want to sleep because I know when I get up in the morning, there is just a ton of stuff I have to deal with. So I do my devotion, then I switch on my phone. And if you whatever you throw at me after my devotion, hey, the shield is up, I can deal with it.
Right.
Okay, Doc. What I'm echoing. I heard you, and
Yeah.
okay, I'm echoing. Why I'm echoing? I heard you, and I totally 100% agree with you. However, I still have to put in a little plug because we're talking about abuse, right?
Yes.
And boundaries that others may cross to. Because for me, I have problems with sleeping. That's something right?
Right.
And I use my phone. There are texts that you can put on in the night to sleep, or meditations that you can put on. Sometimes I would put on the rain, the rainfall and that kind of things. And YouTube switch off after a certain time on its
Uh-huh.
own. And then I use the phone to wake up in the morning, and it as my alarm. And so as I said, I jumped up out of my sleep when the phone rang. My phone is not accustomed ringing those hours of the night. It's really not accustomed ringing those hours of the night. And so, whereas I agree with you that we have to set boundaries for ourselves. It begins with ourselves, because we were speaking about earlier on. Um, the problem is that we do not have the respect for ourselves. We do not have the boundaries out for ourselves. So I totally agree with you that we first have to set the boundaries for ourselves. But there are also other reasons why we may leave the phone on,
Hmm.
and persons out there have to know there are boundaries. There are boundaries. You cannot. I don't know you. You do not know me. Why are you calling me dead in the middle of the night? Why are you calling me and you don't have on clothes? Why are you? I have children. I have children. What about my children who are always with me? Because this is not just in the night. We have this problem also in the day. And I would be sitting with my children sometimes,
Yeah,
and now to, I cannot be on social media where my children is concerned. I have to
absolutely.
actually try and remember to always take off my Facebook account when my children are using my laptop,
This is
because
exactly
of
why
the
I don't have
respect.
it on my phone, Beverly. I don't do it because I
Mhm.
do have a toddler. And at one point, someone sent me something where they took a machete and sliced a man's tongue and fingers off while he was alive. Um, and had my toddler seen that, that would have been just a horrific thing to try to deal with emotionally and to explain that to her. Um, and that was the point where I said, "You know what? It's not about all of the phone calls that are coming through during the day or at night. It's more than that. It's about protecting my own mental
Yes,
space and protecting my child's mental space. And anyone else that may use my phone or want to, a family member wants to make a phone call, they should not have to deal with that." It got to the point where I couldn't text anyone. I literally could not. From one letter to the next, my phone would not stop ringing. So I had to take Messenger off and say, I am going to utilize it only when it makes sense for me in the instances where it makes sense for me.
Hmm.
And until that
I took
point,
it
I
off.
have reiterated to people, use my email. You can reach out to me that way. But I don't even know if maybe it makes sense for you to have a separate number. When you're in this line of work, Dr. Clark, is it appropriate for us to even have our cell phones and the cell phone number out there, or do we need to consider like a Google number where we can regulate those calls? Because when it gets to a point where you want to help and then people use your kindness as a weakness and as a way in to abuse you and those around you, what
Yeah.
resources would you say are best for us to avoid abuse but still be able to help?
Well, I think if you're out there and you have a face in the world where you're dealing with these kinds of issues, my suggestion would be to have what I would call a work number where people can call you, and you still have to put boundaries. Look, there are hotlines that people can call, right? And if you are a hotline, then your hotline is open from X time to Y time. The rest of the time is family time or me time. So it's advisable to have a number that you know persons or clients can call you, and then you have your own personal number. And that's what I do. I have a work phone. That's the phone you call me on, and I have my private phone. Some persons do have my private number, but by and large, they do that if someone calls. And I said, even if someone texts me, and I would say, I'm sorry, your name is not familiar to me. I don't know who you are. I think you've got the wrong number. And as you know, it is extremely easy to get pornographic information, to get stuff. I mean, you just open your phone and someone says, bananas are good for you. They're very healthy, and this is how to avoid um, eating too many bananas. Or something. You click banana, and then oops, then you find yourself on a pornographic
A
site.
different customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have all kinds of tricks and strategies and stuff to suck us in. And as soon as I see that, I have to self-regulate, and I would say, okay, wrong time, boop, switch it off. And because they're very persistent, and not only women get it, men get it as well. So because people are out there, they have the issues. Some persons are shopping, etc. So my recommendation is that if you're in this business, and you're out front and you have a face, that you have a number that people can contact you during the day, and then you have your private number, which you keep to yourself and to those persons who are significant to you. That's what I would suggest. I mean, that's what I do. Otherwise, I will be getting calls all during the night, and I'm not a hotline 24/7. There are hotlines 24/7, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm
But
not
we
that.
are not. Right.
Yeah, you're not. You see, so
Ah,
you have to bring that element of self-management into this business. Otherwise, we will be inundated with other people's pain, anxiety, stress. A student will call and says, I'm unable to cope. I am about to take an overdose. I need help. And this is like, if this is 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the night, but your night is finished because you've taken on that responsibility now, that you have to try and do something to her, for her, and you'll be up chatting and talking and stuff like that. But um, as you know, there are helplines. There are lots of 24/7 helplines here in Trinidad that you can call, and the people are being paid to render those services. And the reality is that you can't be on tap 24/7. You really can't be, and you don't need to feel guilty about it, but it's just a reality because you have other significant persons, and most of all yourself, to take care of.
all right, Doc. So we know you're from Trinidad, so you are familiar with the case that we had earlier on with Andrea. Now
Yes.
the other day, my daughter put up a status, and they said to dress modest. She was dressed modest. They said to use a taxi and not a P car. She jumped in a H car. And there were, I think, about two other things on the list. And whereas I am hearing, because for me, I am the boundary queen. I am blocking persons as quick as they come. I am blocking you. I have deleted, as Christine have, I have deleted Messenger off my phone. And even to just today, I was saying, Lord, I have to buy a phone because I have to get a work phone. So I have my children and I am constantly on the ball thinking about them. However, once again, this program is ready to look at abuse because oftentimes we are telling persons how to safeguard themselves, but we are not talking to the problem. Because I can tell my daughters, as I said, dress properly, put on a long skirt, put on a long pants, put on a long top, make sure that it's not too revealing. And yet still, they have persons in their space who have no respect, who knows nothing about boundaries. And what is the other advice do I give them? Do I keep giving them advice? Yes, I will keep giving them advice, but I'm saying that we also have to work with those persons who doesn't have boundaries, because the more that we advise the persons who are doing good is the more we have to keep doing things to accommodate these persons who are not setting boundaries for themselves.
Well, Beverly, there in our society, we have to psycho-educate our society at different levels. At different
Mhm.
levels, we
Right.
have the need to sensitize our children in schools.
Mm-hmm.
We have the need to sensitize individuals in communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to get the church community. We have so many religious denominations in this country. So we have to get the clergy in the respective denominations to be on point, preaching, teaching the parishioners about it, because some of the persons who perpetrate these acts are also very upstanding churchgoers. They go to church, all
Mm-hmm.
right. So it doesn't mean that they're not going to get up to scamish behavior. So this is sometimes this we have to sensitize individuals across a stream of various sectors of our society. Now, it
Mm-hmm.
is well established that this is a highly sexualized society, highly sexualized society.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's demonstrated with the number of domestic violent crimes, the number of um, rape cases, the number of abuses, kidnaps, all kind of things that's going on in this society, where there's a section of the society that believe that if you dress
Mm-hmm.
provocatively, that is not how you think, but that's how they think, and that's it. That's the justification that they put forward.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got nothing to do with that. It's what's going on in their heads. And the thing
Mm-hmm.
about it is, our society needs to take a hard stance against these things.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said,
Right.
schools, communities, churches, we have to have an all-out assault on the educating our society about the damage that is being caused by these relatively few persons who disrupt the flow of goodness in our society. We have to have, and therefore the government and has to take the lead where it's necessary. The church um, has to take a lead where it's necessary. It's not a matter of us waiting for the government to tell us what to do. I mean, we all feel the pain. We all cry out. We all do all. So why can't we independently discuss these things?
Right.
at various levels. Why do we have to wait for the government to put out some project, some program, some community effort, something? We don't need to do that.
Right.
Responsible people
Mm-hmm.
in society needs to step forward and take a stand and says, I am going to work with my community. Can you imagine what would happen if individuals in the various sectors, if individuals, the administrators, the leaders of all these different denominations, the Catholic Church, the Pentecostal Church, the Adventist Church, the Methodist Church, the Anglican Church, if all of them at some point in time says, I am going to focus on my community. And religion is such a huge um, activity that people get into every Saturday and every Sunday. These are tremendous fora for individuals to stand up and proclaim and speak to their parishioners. And I think that we need to take that on and deal from our own platforms, our respective platforms, and get the message out that abuse is not acceptable. And remember, there's so many different types of abuse. We haven't even talked about that. I mean, you're talking mainly about the physical abuse and stuff, but I mean, um,
Yes.
I am producing a chapter in a book on domestic
Mm.
violence, and I talk about domestic violence where in the church, domestic violence in the church.
Mhm.
Yes. A very
You know,
high statistic in our country.
domestic violence in the church. We just think domestic violence takes place out there with some no-name person and stuff like that. It takes place with devout people going up on the rostrum and the platform and preaching, and then they come home and they're nightmares. So so you have to look at abuse across many sectors:
The border.
economic abuse,
Mm-hmm.
psychological abuse, physical abuse,
Mm-hmm.
economic. You have to look at abuse of all these areas, and deal with them, not just the physical abuse and the rapes and stuff like that. They get the headlines, they make the headlines, and you know, and then what happens? We just, as they say in Trinidad, you boil down like Baji, you just go slightly back to where, and everything goes back to normal again until there's
Mm-hmm.
another. So
Right.
no,
And something again.
yeah, we
Yes.
need to have be consistently targeting these flaws in our society because it unfortunately it stigmatizes our society, and you only have to go online and check what position our country sits in terms of domestic violence, in terms of child abuse, in terms of negligence. You just go and you check, and it's up there among the first three in the world. In the
Hmm.
world. I
Hmm.
mean, what kind of
Well,
that kind of reputation?
A little dots on the map, right?
Yeah.
Let me just slice in this, please. We are always happy to have you, our viewers and our supporters, on board with us. I am seeing your comments, but I'm not seeing them clear enough to comment on them. So do forgive me this evening, but I must tell you that your comments are coming in, and we are happy that you are a part of this program. And you just continue to give your comments. If there is something that we can respond to and we did not respond to it tonight, we promise you on our next program we will respond to it. So thanks again for all our viewers who are participating in this discussion. And Doc, when we talk about abuse, neglect is one.
Yeah.
Now, even when we talk about here, and not just Doc, Christine also, Christine, cannot leave you out of this conversation at all. Christine, when we talk about abuse, neglect is one. A lot of the problems that we have with abuse on a higher scale comes from neglect. And why am I saying that? Okay, we spend so much time doing other things, working, that we don't have a lot of time spending with our kids, and our kids are often exposed to a lot of things like pornography or explicit talk. And as long as our children are exposed to sexual things before they are able to understand it, it's also they are also they also have been sexually abused. They have also been sexually abused. And we have so many persons at this point in time, so many young persons that are growing up unsupervised. Can you talk to that?
Yes. Well, if you look at the records over the last 4 years from the Children's Authority, you would find that neglect is very, very high as one of the issues that they have to deal with. Um, phy- excuse me, physical abuse and child neglect is very high on the scale. And of course, they are taxed. I mean, I say they're taxed. The demands on that division is very, very high because there are so many cases that they don't even have the resources to deal with all these cases. And of course, and these are reported cases. Had I known that this is what we are going to talk about there, I would have quoted some of their own stats. And, and, and these are just reported cases. Just think about the cases that are not reported. Let's think about the child abuse, the child neglect cases that are not reported. And you will see that it's an enormous challenge for for the Children's Authority to deal with, and it's under resourced in terms of personnel, social workers, counselors, and administrators to deal with this. But I don't know what has happened to our society because our society historically was a very caring society. And and if for instance a mother had a child and she was having some work challenges, some employment challenges, some issues, and she couldn't manage, then there were always people in the community, in the neighborhood, who would look after that child. Even if she had to go to work and she was a single parent, she could leave the child at auntie this or my sister here or my aunt or granny or something. But over the last couple of decades, the the culture in our society has changed significantly. And now we find that the persons that you once trusted are now becoming the abusers. And so what do? You now turn to paid service. You pay to you now go to the individuals who are offering after school care, or you take them to the caregivers before you go off to work. So now you have outsourced the care of your children and to someone else who is just providing a holding service in most cases. Okay. And so the children are not getting the type of holistic care and development that they need at that crucial state. And so again, these are all issues and areas of concern that has come upon us with this thing called modernization, and we haven't actually come up with some remedies or some solutions to these problems. That we are still bogged down in dealing with these issues, and
Right.
that's why there's an upsurgence of opinion that while work has been liberated and women are free to go to work and participate in the economy, uh, there's a school of thought that's saying, but at what cost? At what cost? Because if you're leaving these kids are being abused by their siblings, they're being abused by uncles, blood relatives, so you have to ask yourself, which is more important? And do I do do I go out and work and fend, or do I stay home? And so it's a very difficult decision that parents face. I mean, mothers in particular. And this is not only applicable to individuals in the so-called working class, but in the middle class too. You have to make the same decisions because everyone is very career focused. Women are now in many areas of administration, in government, and in the work economy. So they can't be denied access and promotion. But all of that comes at a cost. So I think we are still going to have to devise a way of method of dealing with some of these issues so we can reduce negligence, um, um, that our children are experiencing. And this has been discussed quite widely in the society at different
Yeah.
levels.
Time is quickly slipping away. So I would hope, hi, Udell Wiggins. I thank you for being on board. Uh, I would hope that I would be able to get you on board again because there are things that I wanted to discuss, like how do you change your mindset and stuff because you are a cognitive behavioral therapy, right? A therapist. And so
Yes.
that's what you specialize in.
Hmm.
But we would have to wrap up. But it brings me back to my point because even when we put our children in the care, oh gosh, the nurseries, even when we put them in the nurseries, they are being abused there. And even though we advocate for mothers to stay home with children, how many mothers are abusing their children? How many fathers are abusing their children? So that we still have to hit the core of the problem as the logo. Well, I put in my hand so it's undecided showing. The logo rightly says no, it's the core. We have to hit the core of the problem because we cannot keep making room. You see, our boundaries are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, while the boundaries for all these evils are getting wider and wider and wider. And just now, we won't have anywhere to put our fence. We'll be standing on the fence, and even on that fence, we will get knocked down. So we have to address these issues. We have to address them. We have to set boundaries in order to keep our children and ourselves safe, but we have to address these situations, the situation and abuse. And Christine and I have been doing some courses and we enlisted in the motivational course together. And one of the things that we have been doing is um, thinking to results, thinking to results. And it speaks a whole lot about being able to renew your mind, being able to renew your thinking. Because again, I said it before and I'll keep saying it, as a man thinketh, so is he. So Doc, we would love to have you back on the program so that we can talk about how we can change our mindset. We can talk about self-awareness. Self-awareness is a big, big, heavy topic that must be addressed. I don't know if you were on earlier on when I talked, and for years as psychologists, and counselors, we addressed, not we, but the city, as a country or as a world, as a nation, as a people, we addressed the issue of self-esteem. And we said the problem was a self-esteem problem. And now we are seeing that it's not a self-esteem problem, because a lot of persons esteem themselves higher than the persons that are around them. And that is why they feel free to do whatever they want to, whatever comes to their mind. But we see that the problem is one of self-awareness. Christine, you had anything you wanted to slice in?
Well, I just
Christine
want to
had
say,
to say about her daughter today, and we know that again we were speaking about um, taking care of our children, the importance of taking care of our children. And you may have seen her in and out because she has a young daughter that she has to attend to this
that's
evening.
okay.
Yes,
That's okay.
Christine.
I did before Christine speaks. I just want to say that
Uh-huh.
I can be. You can call me anytime once I have a day's notice,
Nice.
and you can talk on any topic, both
Nice.
Yay!
from a
Thank you.
psychosocial perspective, from an emotional intelligence perspective, from cognitive behavioral perspective, from self-regulation. You just once I get a day's notice so that I can fit it into my diary, we can talk about it. And I'm always willing to share.
Fine. Well, we are on every Tuesday, so you and I will link up and we would
Yep.
work out something
Yeah.
for you to be back on this program.
Yes.
Christine?
Yeah, that would be perfect. So I
Yeah.
heard a lot of what you guys talked about as far as setting boundaries and, working outside of the home. And Beverly, you made a good point, to really like, I think that it would be good to look at statistics of what happens when a mother is working outside of the home versus um, someone that is able to stay at home, because I think that in today's society we have um, we just have a different mindset of what family looks like, and I'm saying that from the U.S. perspective. I don't know what it's like here, they're in Trinidad and Tobago, but
Same thing.
our perspective of the family has shifted so much in the
Mhm.
United
Drastically.
States from like the 1950s and 60s. People dealt with abuse in order to keep their family whole. And now people leave to escape abuse, and they have to find the resources where they feel like they've placed their kids in loving and caring surroundings while they go and create income, because they may not have that supportive spouse that they should have. And so it would be interesting, I think, to see, what those statistics look like, nation to nation and worldwide. Um, Very interesting take. I know that for me, I did have to put my daughters in childcare, and most of the time, I felt comfortable with where they were and who they were with. But there is always that overcoming, that sense of they're not with family, they're not with my mother. I trust my mom with my life and therefore my kids, but there's such a difference when you're you're going on blind faith,
Mm.
and you're praying over it. So
Yeah.
um, those statistics would be nice to see, and I appreciate you guys bringing that up.
I'll bring you some stats the next time we talk about this.
Perfect. That
Yeah.
sounds great.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you
Okay,
so
guys,
much
so
for inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me.
yes, thank you.
I was able to figure out how to StreamYard because my laptop does not support StreamYard. So,
Okay.
so what I have to do is I have to take the link and paste it in Firefox or or Google Chrome. It doesn't work with Google Chrome, but Firefox was the one that I managed to identify as the
Mhm.
engine browser to,
Okay.
Okay.
use it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I had to call
Awesome.
in. I had to call in some technical assistance.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you
Okay.
so much
Thank you
for
for
being with
being
us.
here.
Do you want people,
Yeah.
if they have questions for you, Dr. Clark,
Yes.
should they reach out to myself, Beverly, or you? How would you like for people to go about in doing that? Or do you
Well,
want them to post them in the comments and then we can bring them up the next time you're on?
they can send the questions to you or Beverly, and then I deal with them. See, that's my way of setting boundaries.
Exactly. That's why I asked that way.
Yes. Yes, Doc.
Okay, you can have yogurt,
Listen,
honey.
So
and
you yeah. So if you can do that, and
One yogurt. Okay.
I
Sorry.
will. It's okay. Good. Yeah. So any questions, I will entertain. Right. So
yes,
Perfect.
we both
often.
know
So
that we both know, Doc.
mhm.
Doc, we both know that you do have to set boundaries. We both know that. You need those boundaries.
Yes, I definitely need
Yes.
to. Okay.
So
Wonderful. Blessings. Have a pleasant evening, and God be with you.
you too.
Thank
Good.
you,
You
and you
too,
as
sweetie.
well.
Bye
Thanks
bye.
for being here.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So,
Well,
guys, you know how
Beverly,
we
that
wrap up.
has been a pleasure. So we're going to continue to talk a little bit to everyone. I just wanted to do a
Oh,
quick shout out to Miss Joanna Bricker-Clare. Um, she is the emotional emergency responder. Um,
okay.
she is a speaker as well. And thank you, Joanna, for watching this evening and commenting. It's just a matter of time. You're going to be on this show.
We
So,
are going to send you, this is my promise. We are going to send you next week's link. As long as you are available, you are welcome on the show next week, Tuesday.
yes.
It's my promise. We would
Perfect.
love to have you on the show. Love to. I saw
All right.
William
Yes,
also
Willie is still
commented.
commenting. He said, thank
Yes.
you. So
Uh,
thank you, Willie. We appreciate you and being active as part of the conversation and adding in your perspectives and things. I know that I did see him commenting a lot this evening, but I just wanted the doctor to speak and not distract from his message. So
okay.
we see your comments, Willie, and where appropriate and when appropriate, we will share them and post them throughout the
Mhm.
broadcast. So thank you and keep it
Yes.
up.
Mhm.
So,
So, you know how we end the program?
yes, you ready for me or you want to go first?
You go ahead, my dear.
Perfect.
Mhm.
So, as you guys know, my name is Kristin Brooke. I am the Resiliency Queen, and I help people get through tough and challenging times. I have a book that is going to be coming out on March 20th, and it is called I Choose Joy, an Overcomer's Guide Through a Secret Journey. We don't get stuck there, we keep going. So, if you need to reach me for any reason, feel free to check out my website. It is www.kristinbrooke.com. That's KristinBrooke, just like you see down below, right over here. Www.kristinbrooke.com. You can email me, connect with me on social media, and you will be finding more gifts and gadgets and doodads and all of that on the website in coming days. So thank you.
And I'm Beverly Briggs. You can reach me on Facebook at Beverly Briggs. And I have both Christine and I group, Real Talk. I also have Pearl Foundation page. Sorry. Let me collect myself a little bit. Breathing. I'm very sorry. I have a Pearl Foundation Facebook page also. The one that I'm working on very soon. I would be also having the website that you can go on to, because by March 6th, actually, because on March 6th, we will be launching. That will be something that will be aired live. We will be launching. And of course, last week I promoted my mother's book also. Yes, William. Very deep breaths right now. Oh, yes. She has been through a lot of adverse situations. And she met a man who took her through it all. And so she wrote a book about that man. And the name of her book is Reflections to Agape. It is of Agape, sorry. It is a devotional book that can help you to be able to face your adverse situations. You can also reach me at titipearlfoundation@gmail.com. titipearlfoundation@gmail.com. It was a pleasure being with you all.
How do people purchase your mother's book?
Oh, sorry. The book is available on Amazon.
I have it. I think I
normally
have
post.
it here. Jennifer, here we go. I got it.
Jennifer,
Copy.
right.
We're going to post that in the comments right now.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
She
If you're
would be
interested,
on.
please. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, I don't know what happened. We're going to call that some technical difficulty. So, to reach Beverly, you can email her at ttpearlfoundation@gmail.com, and you can find her on Facebook at Beverly Briggs. Oh, and here she is. So I gave them your email address and how to find you on Facebook. You're muted, so you just need to unmute if there's anything else that you wanted to say. Unmute.
No, I said no. I just had some technical difficulties with my sinus.
Right, I'm like, did she sneeze?
Yes, and when I start sneezing, it's like sneeze, 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 sneeze. So I needed to take off my camera for a bit to deal with those technical problems. But guys, it was lovely. Do have a blessed night, evening, morning, whatever time it is where you are at right now. You just do have a blessed one. And remember,
let me add, Beverly, because we had a lot of talk about abuse. Your destiny, your purpose, your life is important. We need you in this world. You are worth it. You are worth every moment. You are worth every effort. Les Brown said earlier that if you are going through a difficult time, seek help and do not stop until you get it. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not of weakness. So continue to ask for help and do not stop. If you are experiencing abuse and you are in the United States, you may reach out to RAIN, or you can reach the suicide hotline. We have posted those throughout our social media, or you can reach us directly. Beverly also has a 24/7 lifeline that is based out of the UK. If you have WhatsApp or Google Google Voice or something like that, anywhere in the world, you can call them as long as you have access to Wi-Fi for free. So if you have a crisis, please reach out to someone. You are so worth it. Your life has purpose. You have a destiny. You are meant to be here.
Just to observe one thing, Lifeline is not, it's not my lifeline. I am a part of it. So I do not want anyone to be looking at this and say, oh, she take up my, I am a part of that lifeline, and I'm a part of the team that is trying to start a branch in my country. So it's not my lifeline, but I'm a part of it, and I'm encouraging persons to call. There's someone there willing to listen, and to the guys, and even to the women, because Doc rightly said it's not just guys, it's women who doesn't seem to understand boundaries. We are not bashing you tonight. I want you to know that. I want you to know that, because I know that there's some way, something went wrong with you understanding who you are, and that's my concern. That's truly my concern. And I would love to see persons aware of who they are, because when you find out how valuable you are, man, it makes a whole total difference in the way we respect ourselves and the way we respect each other, and the satisfying life that we can live here on this earth. So guys, it's past the hour. So we do want to say bye. It was lovely. See you
Yes.
next week, Tuesday.
Have a great evening and thank you for watching.
Yeah.